What's up, everyone? My name's Ajwritescrypto, and here I am with the CTO of the Algorand Foundation, my good friend, Jaws himself, John Allen Woods. John, how you doing today, man?
I am good, AJ, and thank you so much for having me. It's a real privilege to be here with you.
Of course. And, you know, we did an interview late November of 2024 talking about the next era of Algorand that is coming. Staking is now here. And in this video, everybody, if you don't know how to stake Algorand, we're going to show you how to do it. If you want to learn how to run your own node, we're going to show you how to do it. But first, I have a couple questions I want to ask my friend John. And the first of those questions is, John, I want to know what you have specifically been working on right now and what your goals are as we further through 2025.
Totally. Great question. So it's incredibly busy, actually. One might think if you're out there working in traditional software engineering or traditional finance or whatever, a more regular job, you might think, what do people at these blockchain companies do all day? It's profoundly busier than one might expect. And so just to remind folks, I'm the CTO at the foundation. What does that mean? It means I'm the chief of technology. Essentially, I lead tech. And so the big important verticals that I'm responsible for, or the teams that work with me are responsible for, are software product. So product decisions, where do we take things with a whole range of products that we have, like our developer tools. We have a infrastructure. So this is managing all of the nodes and the network that the foundation control. It's only a small number of the total global nodes, but there's a fair bit of work around the infrastructure. Engineering, and this is, of course, is the big one. This is all our software engineers, our architects, software architects, that is, our applied cryptographers, our researchers, etc. They're on my team. DevRel, another huge one, right? This is if you're building on Algorand's open source, decentralized operating system. We have a bunch of folks, which we call developer relations or DevRel, that'll help you achieve success, whether you're a company or a beginner, just an individual out there who's just learning. And then we also have a small team who help with the protocol engineering. So that's like the actual layer one of Algorand and contributing changes to the node. And so we've been working, I guess, across those things, doing the types of things that you might imagine, writing software, building great apps, helping refine the protocol a little bit. But since the start of the year, I guess the most important things that we've done, one, we rolled out staking in early January. So this was when to bring staking to a layer one protocol, i.e. the notion that you can take your algo or the native token of your blockchain and do some action with it that secures the network. And then for doing that work, you get rewarded in the token, essentially like mining on Bitcoin. There's a lot of work that it takes for a network that doesn't have that concept. It doesn't have rewards. It doesn't have the idea of staking in return for a monetary reward. It takes a long time to write the code and make the changes to get, and by the way, to do the research and write the papers and think it through to make that big change to the network. And so we did that last year, but it went live in January. And that's like, as much as you can plan, you can write all the documents, you can do all the code, you can test the shit out of it. But when you're at that moment where it's going live and you're at the precipice of the next block is going to be one of the blocks that gets rewards, you're holding onto your butt a little bit as that happens. So that was a major thing for us, getting staking out the door successfully and having that transition between the non-staking era of Algorand and the staking era successfully, thankfully, without any hiccups or downtime. That was wonderful. And since then, our focus has really been writing software to help people run a node and get staking. So that a node is an instance of Algorand on your computer. So writing software that helps you set up an Algorand instance and get staking, which we can talk about later, and also a focus on our roadmap. So each year we try to put out a roadmap.
What's that? I want to get to the roadmap question. I got a specific question for the roadmap, not to cut you off, but I got the roadmap question covered. Okay, but first, there's been this rumor going around. There's this rumor going around about the Department of Government Efficiency. Doge, okay? And I don't know who's talking to who or what's going on, but I think you know why Algorand would be a great fit for Doge. Why would it be a perfect fit for it?
I've seen, of course, like everyone else, even though I'm in Europe, I obviously didn't vote in the US elections. I watch from afar to see what's going on. And I see that young woman who comes out, the blonde lady who talks about the things that they found each day or each week. And there's been some parodies, quite funny, $185 trillion for painting the nails on elephants in Uganda. It gives me a giggle. But yeah, interesting. I think the Irish government, in fact, could do with a little bit of Doge, going in and figuring out what's going on. The Irish government famously last year spent like $1 million on a bicycle stand outside of our equivalent of the White House or whatever. So it's like, yeah, it's funny. From what I can see online, what the Department of Government Efficiency is looking to do, of course, is to try to remove some of the inefficiency from the spending in the government, but also to find a blockchain that's able to find a blockchain that is able to satisfy that government grade, enterprise grade, secure, reliable, scalable need that you would see or you would need to meet in order to be the blockchain of a nation like the United States at a national level. And so essentially, they want a very grown up, very well established, very secure, very reliable and robust blockchain. And so Algorand hits those boxes. It checks those boxes. Algorand has been up for over 5 years without any downtime. And look, networks, software, downtime, it happens all the time, right? Even my local pool has to close for cleaning. But ultimately, you need to strive for as uptime that's as close to 5, 6, 7 nines as possible, right? You need to have great uptime, because when you go to use the blockchain, you need it to be there to service your use case, whether that's transferring funds to someone in an emergency or selling a fractionalized exchange.
Right.
Additionally, you need a blockchain that can scale out and meet demand, so that it doesn't fall over if too many people use it at the same time, so that it doesn't get really slow if too many people use it at the same time. And so that it gives people, or the end users, a user experience that's seamless, so they don't even know they're using a blockchain, because it's just fast enough and it's quick enough and it's capable enough. And of course, finally, you need a blockchain or an infrastructure layer which has a very high standard of engineering. And so what I mean there is, if you look at these blockchains, whether it's Bitcoin, Algorand, or otherwise, they are a cocktail or a mixture of many different types of computer science and engineering, whether it's cryptography code for how the information flows over the internet, or indeed the consensus mechanism. How do all the various nodes keep the ledger in parity? How do they make sure that they're in sync? And so Algorand really is government grade. It is the things I've just talked about. It's secure, reliable, and scalable, and it's fit for purpose when it comes to enterprise nation grade use. And so I think, Elon, if you're listening, we're ready to talk. We, of course, some folks on the side of the business. I'm on the tech side, but Stacy, our CEO, Eric, who heads up biz dev and cap markets, these folks are much better connected in Washington and other places, and conversations, I'm sure, are ongoing. But I'm available, of course, if anyone wants to talk from Doge, if they want to talk about the tech factors of Algorand. And I do think that it will be a good fit. Yeah.
Sure. I think the answer to that question is you never know.
Here's the thing. The reality is, if we are talking to them, we probably can't talk about it.
Right. There's that. And I think you said something really important there. And I think my favorite number in Algorand is zero. Real big zero. Zero downtime. All right. And when you consider the ongoing argument, like in my tweet, Algorand greater than Solana, fight me. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I'm sure, John, every time we do an interview together, I ask my audience, if you could ask Jaws himself, John Woods, anything about Algorand, what would it be? My favorite question, I'll ask him your question in the interview. And this time, this person wins $500 in Algorand.
Nice.
And the question down the same street we're talking about right now is from our guy, Twirtle2. Shout out to Twirtle2, just won $500 in Algorand. Why do you think Solana has captured so much volume and capital of the crypto sphere, despite it clearly being an inferior product just from a user perspective? What steps need to be taken to get a similar position? And this also kind of ties in with the debate between you and Justin Bonds. And personally, I feel that you would eviscerate him in a debate. Maybe we'll be treated to that someday. So, what is your answer to Twirtle's question there?
Yeah, Twirtle2, listen, nice to meet you, and thanks for the question. And also, congratulations on the $500 worth of algo that AJ and his crew are providing. That is very cool of you.
Just AJ.
Yeah. It's a great question. And look, I don't want to shit too much on Solana. I think people will know I'm not the biggest fan of it technically. I've voiced that here and there.
You're such a nice
And
guy.
there's of course good people working on it, and of course smart people working on it, no doubt. It's just not my favorite for a multitude of different reasons. And those reasons typically are the number of failed transactions, which of course I know Tolly sees as useful for their status codes. I would disagree, but that's okay. He's clearly a very intelligent and capable human being. The way maybe they represent consensus messages as part of TPS, I don't love that, and that's okay. And then, you know, of course, with which they are available. And so enterprise government grade blockchain needs to be available. It needs to be highly available. And what I mean by that is essentially very, very seldomly down. So that reliability for me is not there. Now, can they fix that as they evolve the protocol? Probably. I think they probably fix it. But one thing that they won't be able to fix is my final critique, which of course is typically around how they scale and how decentralized their consensus mechanism is. By definition, you know, one of the mantras, throughput, reduce latency, or something along those lines. You know, they want as fast as possible, nonstop. And I respect it. I think it's cool. And I've always thought Solana's general principle was cool, that they were going to throw as much hardware at the blockchain as possible in order to kind of drive an enormous throughput. And they have done that. But as we've seen, maybe at the expense of stability, and certainly at the expense of decentralization. It's true to say you can run, and I have been running, an Algorand validator on an old M1 Mac Mini that I have right here in front of me, and I've not missed any blocks on it. That you know, I'm on target for based on my probability of winning blocks, and the current temperature of my Mac Mini is like, let's see here, 37 degrees Celsius. That is 98 Fahrenheit. So it's a comfortable, you know, skin temperature. It's got like 8 gigs of RAM. I mean, that's decentralized. You've got validators, thousands of people getting involved, ensuring the network is decentralized, so that there's not like a handful of validating blocks. And the problem with an architecture like Solana's is, in my personal view, is that you can't have a decentralized consensus layer when you require gargantuan system specs in order to run a validator. If you need 256 gigs of RAM and you know, petabytes of NVMe storage, it's just not possible to have the average person do it in their bedroom.
It's not pragmatic.
Right. But you decide, right? When you're building your blockchain, you make a whole bunch of design decisions. Algorand tried to focus on decentralization, security, scalability. I think Solana focused on throughput. Question is, how much throughput is enough? Algorand sits around 10 to 12,000 transactions a second, which we think is enough at this point. So to answer the question, though, why has Solana been so bloody popular? And there's no doubt that it has been popular. If, as this person says, as Turtle says, it's objectively suboptimal in certain regards.
Yeah.
This question actually came up at the Satoshi Roundtable that I was at recently, which is like a conference of crypto folks from around the industry across a whole bunch of different backgrounds, and it's typically attended by people who've been in crypto a long time. It's invite only, and so one of the sessions was about Solana, and it asked this very question: why are they so popular? And the answer that was established within the room of about 20 or 30 people, who were, by the way, I would say, neither for nor against Solana. It was a fairly neutral discussion. The answer was because Solana focused on two things: on retail, as in the normal end user, not companies or institutions, and making slick UI. And what I mean by that is, when you are on, I don't know, pump.fun or whatever the various apps are, the user interface is really easy to use. It's fun, it's intuitive, and it's really slick. And that has attracted people. They made those apps fun, and they focused on bringing in a lot of retail adoption. And what that's done is it's kind of reinforced this narrative that like retail has fun on Solana. The Solana UI is great. And it doesn't matter about the failed transactions or the TPS or the stability or the consensus being decentralized. The majority of end users just want to have a bit of fun. And so maybe there's a lesson to take from Solana, but I think it's a fair kind of assessment. They won a lot of retail users because of that slick UI and that focus on retail. Maybe the question is, going forward from that, the kind of, will they be able to maintain that as other networks that do have decentralization, that do have maybe a value proposition around stability, around the developer experience being really harmonious and very, very easy? Will they maintain that dominance as maybe some of their users look to those other networks? Maybe not, but I think that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I appreciate that answer. Very level-headed answer there. Not aggressive answer. John, you're a man of class. I'll give it to you. You are took the high road on that one. I do appreciate it. But at the end of the day, everybody, Algo fam over Solana all day long. If you like the Algo fam, if you're a member, if you hold Algorand in your crypto wallet, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Go follow my good friend John Allen Woods on Twitter. And hey, the Algorand Foundation YouTube as well. I'll have their link down below in the description. They've been putting out a lot of really good content there as well. So I do want to get to the how to stake, how to run a node questions, but I have one question for you, and this is why I saved it. I cut you off earlier. I want to know, last year you guys put out that very well done, professional, formal roadmap, the Gambit, kind of leaning into the chess narrative. That was really well done. Round of applause. That
was marketing. That was Alexa and Mark and the rest of the marketing team. I should call them out.
They did a great job. That was really well done. So I want to ask, we know that you're working on the roadmap now, and I want to ask, I have to dig for the alpha. Is there anything that you can tell us about the roadmap as we get closer and closer to its release?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, to give people an idea, we are going to be putting this out in the next kind of few weeks. Essentially, the roadmap's going to focus on a number of kind of high value items. First is post-quantum. Like, it is probably the most important aspect or one of the biggest focus points of the roadmap. So this is taking Algorand to the next level in terms of its post-quantum security. I've mentioned before how Algorand enjoys post-quantum security for the history of the chain. So the history of the chain is signed every 256 rounds, so every 12 minutes or so. Essentially making it immutable against a quantum attack. So someone can't go back and replay a different version of history on the history of the chain. That is cool. We still have work to do around consensus to make that post-quantum secure, and we still have work to do around accounts to make those post-quantum secure. So you're going to see us take down one of those two remaining in the roadmap, hopefully, and so stay tuned on that. But also, there's some pretty sexy stuff in there. On the geek side, we have stuff like maybe looking at state proofs for catch-up. How can you use these post-quantum state proofs that we have to sync a node near instantaneously? We're going to look maybe at speeding up state proofs. So maybe they're every 128 rounds rather than every 256. We're going to look at potentially tweaking dynamic lambda. So this idea that maybe, for example, you would, it's quite an Algorand specific concept, but it's basically turning a knob on our consensus to speed up the transactions per second, potentially. Not that we particularly need to at the current rate, but that's something we're looking at. And then finally, another aspect of the roadmap that, we're fleshing out is privacy. And I want to just say, from a personal point of view, the only reason, or the original reason, I should say, that I got into crypto was privacy. I came across the Monero project on Reddit, and it really captivated me. And so I spent a lot of time looking at Monero, in the ecosystem, using it. And I love the idea of a private form of money, like one that was truly private. So you couldn't see the amounts being spent. You couldn't see the addresses on chain, etc. And so privacy is very, very important. It's not easy, but it's easier to do privacy on something like Monero or Bitcoin, where you're just sending money back and forth, than it is to do privacy where you've got smart contracts and all that kind of stuff, where you have smart contracts and bytecode and all this heavy stuff. It's much harder to do privacy. But we think we found the sweet spot in a piece of work that's been done by one of our very talented engineers at Algorand Foundation, Julio. And so that'll be part of the roadmap too. So really, I should say, by the way, as well, this roadmap, Julio is putting it together. He leads out protocol. I'm working with him to make it hopefully cool. We're working with our colleagues at Algorand Technologies, who will help with some of the implementation, of course, where appropriate, maybe on the PQ stuff, not so much on the privacy. And together, as a group, we're gonna roll this out. And so our crack marketing team have not yet established what the motif will be for this year, but yeah, stay tuned. It's coming soon, and I think people are going to find it really meaty and substantive.
Wow, that was one hell of an alpha drop there. Shout out to John, always giving the alpha here first on Ajwritescrypto. Really,
AJ.
That one's going to be put into a short. It's going everywhere. That one's going everywhere.
I can confirm, by the way, I've not talked about this anywhere else, so this is the first time.
Yes, my guy. Well, thank you. We really appreciate it. Everybody, make sure you stay tuned for the next Algorand roadmap. This year is already clicking by, as they always do. So we are in the new era of Algorand. In the second week of January, you all wrote out the new staking. So let's just set this up. I have my Paro wallet. I have my Algo tokens. How do I stake my algo tokens?
And maybe let me just set this a little bit for people so they understand. Algorand is a proof of stake network. That means the security of the network is based on or predicated upon number of algo that are staked. So there are 10 billion algo in existence. There's around 8 billion algo, in the supply, in the liquid supply. That's not, the rest of it's either sitting with technologies or with the foundation's treasury. Okay.
Sure.
And so of that 8 billion, we had about a billion algo, about 1/8 of all the algo in existence was being actively staked to secure the network. The thing is, nobody got any rewards for that. And so what this meant was, in the original vision of Algorand, if you read the original paper, it basically says people will altruistically stake of goodwill, out of the goodness of their heart, in order to basically secure the network for everyone, for the common good, and potentially to secure their own funds. But there's a phrase in Latin, essentially means, from experience, we've seen that that's not the case. A posteriori, people are not staking their Algorand for free. People are not running those computers in their homes nonstop using a bit of electricity. People are not taking the time that it takes to, set up a node and get it up and running. Well, we felt like that was a weak point in the decentralization of Algorand, and we wanted to make it as secure and as decentralized as possible. Also, later this year, we're going to roll out peer-to-peer, which is change in how data flows in the Algorand network, but essentially it's as it sounds, from peer to peer, from node to node. And so we wanted a big increase in the number of nodes so that the number of pathways for this new decentralized data flow was as large as possible. So what is the answer? How do we increase the nodes, increase the number of algo being staked, and make the network as secure and decentralized as possible? And it turns out the answer is to reward block production. I guess the notion is certainly not new. This is what Bitcoin did from the very beginning, right? You mine Bitcoin. So you mine on Bitcoin to secure the network and confirm transactions, but you get rewarded if with BTC, if you're the lucky winner of the proposed block. We put together a paper, a design, an implementation, and then finally shipped it out, as you said, in early January. And this change was a protocol level change where the protocol would look who created the block and then send algo directly to their account for doing so. That algo comes from the fees that are generated by the network, plus in the first couple of years, the Algorand Foundation has boosted the rewards in order to make them as inviting as possible, to get as many people involved as possible, right. And to make some excitement around it. And so it's been an overwhelming success. Whenever you make changes like this, you do worry as an engineer, will this be seamless? Will we have any downtime? Will we have any bugs? Thankfully, so far not. And then the second thing you look for is, well, how successful is it? We've done all this work. We've spent all these hours. We've done all this change. How many nodes did we get? How many more algo do we have? And it's been pretty phenomenal. So I said we've had about 10, 12% of algo in existence was being staked. Now it's just under 20% of the algo in circulation that's being staked.
And that's extremely important. In our last interview, I asked you, what the rewards would be. Say if I have 100 Algorand, I stake them for a year. You said 6.5 to 7%, as long as the parameters were met. And those parameters were that 15 to 20% of all algo in circulation were staked. So we have already met those parameters.
Right. So we're sitting at those kind of what we kind of predicted were probable in the early days. For every, as you said, for every 100 algo or so that you stake, you would expect to receive about 7 algo in rewards. And so, yeah, it's exactly kind of as we expected. And in terms of the reward, I mean, if you look at the reward and you compare it across a spectra of different blockchains, you will see it's one of the highest rewards in blockchain. So it's been a very good program, as well as the natural increase in the community stake. What's been wonderful is a portion of the original stake that we had on the network, because we didn't have enough community uptake, was Algorand Foundation stake. And so we were paying to run those computers. We were, staking our own treasury to secure the network. And we've been able to wonderfully, and by the way, by design, we've been able to pull that stake back. So we've already dropped about 25 to 30% of our original stake. We've removed it. We weren't earning rewards because we wouldn't take the rewards. That wouldn't be, natural.
Right.
But we still had the stake online. But as we've seen the stake climb, today we just took another 100 million algo offline. So essentially, what does all this mean? Nodes are at like 4,000 nodes. Number of accounts online is nearly 2,000 people are out there securing Algorand. The stake is at an all-time high in terms of the community contribution. The Algorand Foundation's component of the stake, which I see as centralized because ultimately we're an institution, is at an all-time low and will be dropping as more and more people get involved. And from a rewards point of view, it has never been literally a more financially rewarding or more exciting time to get involved. And you might be thinking, well, that's all cool, John, but like, even if I go and buy Algo, how do I get this thing? How do I get involved in this stake? What is the physical thing I have to do to start getting this money coming into my account?
Yes.
And so I have a virtual machine that I've set up, which is kind of like a clean version of macOS that I haven't used before. And I was going to show you how you could set up a node if that's of interest.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Okay.
Click.
I should also say to the viewers, like, it's notoriously difficult to give demos. Nearly always don't go right. So hopefully this one will. Okay, cool. Okay, so AJ, my buddy, let me walk you through how to set up a node. And this thing I've got here is like a macOS VM. It's basically macOS inside my current macOS. It's like a virtual version of macOS. And the reason I did this was because I wanted people to see what it was like when you set up a brand new computer. I mean, this might as well be a factory new computer from Apple. It's got no files here in the recents. It's got the default application set. There's I haven't installed anything funny on it. And if we go online, you'll see like the browser has never even been used. So, okay, let me go to google.com. Okay, so you have a fresh computer. You want to run a node. Now, what does that mean? Running a node, whether it's Cardano, Algorand, Solana, or any other network, means running a piece of software. We call it a node because, I don't know, I think that came from Bitcoin and that terminology. But really, you're running an instance of the Bitcoin software, an instance of the Algorand software, etc. So we have to go, and typically what you would do is you would go and you would type Algorand and GitHub, which is where all the open source cryptocurrencies live, and you would go to Algorand right here, and the first repository here, the first code base, is the code of Algorand. This is the source code written by which has been updated, as you can see, just 4 hours ago, and it's thousands of lines or hundreds of thousands of lines of code that you download or release. When you download that software, you install it, and then you've got to configure it, and then you got to mess around with it. We felt like this was too much for people who either are not technical or just don't have the time. Okay, like I am technical, but I don't have the time to do this stuff. So we wanted to make it super easy. So let me show you how you do it now. You don't have to go to GitHub and start compiling code and all that stuff. So let's go back to Google. In fact, we don't even have to go to Google because I already know the website off the top of my head. But if you did want to search, it'd be Algorand node. And you would get a link to the following website, nodekit.run. So we call the product NodeKit, and the website is nodekit.run. Now, node is in the software node or the Algorand node. Kit is traditionally in software engineering, when you have a framework or a tool that helps you achieve something, it can be like known as a kit, like crypto kit or location kit or whatever. This one is nodekit.run. And when you're here, you choose your operating system. So I'm going to choose macOS here in this little tab, and it gives me this command I got to run. Okay, so we have a little copy here. We just click the copy button, and I've copied that. Now I've got to paste that into my command line. So I'm going to just minimize my browser. I'm back at my desktop, and I'm going to open my command line terminal. I want to just take a moment to say to people, sometimes people will say, well, they look at the command line and think, what the hell is this? How do, what am I supposed to do on this thing?
Yep.
What do I type here? What makes sense? And maybe I'll just do a quick tutorial for the sake of 20 seconds, just to say, all this black screen is a way to type words, do the same things you can do in the Finder. Everyone is comfortable in the Finder, okay? Everyone is happy on their desktop, making files or whatever. This is all this thing is the same thing. So watch this. Let's say we are on our desktop here. If I want to go, if this is a Finder, this is my desktop folder. It's currently empty. I've got no files. If I wanted to use my terminal here to go to Finder, to go to the desktop, I would just type change directory cd to the desktop. And now I'm on the desktop. And if I wanted to make a new folder, normally in the GUI, I right click and I say new folder, and I call it maybe folder 1. And now that I've got a folder on my desktop. Well, in this command line terminal, like I said, we're just doing the same thing with words rather than with a guided user interface. And so if I wanted to make a folder, I would say make directory folder 2. And as you can see right there, I now have a folder 2. So I guess I give this example to people just to say, don't fear this little black terminal thing. It's just a way to type words to do things. And as you'll see, when you go to NodeKit, you just copy this line, you go into your terminal, and you paste it, and you hit enter, and it should work. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. It got NodeKit. Okay, it's telling me, it's saying, NodeKit, cool logo. Welcome. This is the beginning of your adventure into running an Algorand node. It looks like you're running this for the first time. Would you like to install a node? Yes. Now, second question. We're installing the node. Would you like to fast catch up? Now, this is important. All blockchains, they have many, many blocks, especially ones like Algorand that have been around for 5 years. Fast catch up is just a way to sync the blockchain quickly. You can do a non-fast catch up, and it's just a bit slower. So I'll say yes to that too. Okay, it's going to Algorand Foundation. It's getting the node. It's installing Algorand from the source code for you. It's configuring Algorand for you, so you don't have to worry about it. It's now asking for my password because it's installing something. So my password is just test on this VM. So I'll type that out. And now it's starting the node up. So it's taken all the work out, right? It's asked me 2 questions. Do I want to continue? And do I want to catch up quickly? I said yes to both. And it's installed and configured. And now I am running a node. Right now, right there in front of me in that user interface, you can see that I'm running a node on version 4.0.1 of Algorand on the mainnet, which is the main network, not the testnet. And it's currently catching up using the fast catch up. And so as it says here, please wait while your node syncs with the network. This will take about an hour. In reality, it should take about 30 or 40 minutes. So in 30 or 40 minutes, I will have a fully synced, ready to go node that is ready to engage in consensus, is ready to earn those rewards for me. And the very last thing I have to do when the node fully syncs in about half an hour is, as you can see down here in the bottom left-hand corner, I have the word generate. And that generate, which you select by pressing the letter G for generate, that generate will create a new staking key, and it will bring my account online. So when I press the letter G, which it won't let me do right now because it'll say, sorry, the node is not fully synced. As you can see there, it says it's not fully synced. When I press the letter G, it will ask me for my Algorand address that I want to bring online. You hit enter, you sign a transaction, and then you are staking. And you will see rewards flow directly into that account. And that's it. It couldn't be easier. You can close this window, and the node will continue to run. And so this
you just
is now set up.
paste your Algorand wallet address in that, and then you click go, and it will automatically like put it in there.
Exactly. Let me show you. We've got some great guides and documentation. So I just went back into the browser here for a second.
That is so cool.
And let me show you what it looks like. So when you're generating your key, here we are. Generating participation keys. Okay, so let me show you in pictures what I couldn't show you, because if I go back here and open my node by running NodeKit, you'll see that it's still syncing with the network. You can see right there. Let me make the text a bit bigger. It's processing all the accounts and catching up with the mainnet. But of course, I want to show you a little bit deeper. So let me go back to the browser, and I'll try to show you some images of what it looks like. So when we're fully synced, like I said, you press the letter G for generate to start generating those staking keys. It'll bring up a window that looks just like this. It'll say, generate consensus participation key, or essentially a staking key. And this is where you link it to your account. So what you do is you paste in here your wallet address. And so for me, that's woods.algo, which is my Algorand address. But for you, it'll be whatever your personal wallet address is that holds your algo. You paste your address in, you hit enter, and then it generates the keys after a few minutes. And in the final step to going online, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, is pressing the letter R to register your account online, where you will be asked to sign a transaction with your account, and then you're online. So essentially, wrapping this all up together, you can install a node in, I think, by the way, this is a brand new vanilla virgin copy of macOS. As you've seen, there was nothing on it. We got a node up and running and syncing within a minute. Okay, so it takes about a minute to set up the node. You answer 2 questions, yes, yes, and your node is set up. It'll take about a half an hour to sync, so go and make yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And then when you come back, be ready to know what your account is. So your public key, your receive address for your Algorand account, paste that in, generate your keys, and sign a transaction, and then you will start earning rewards. So we like to say to people, it takes about 5 minutes of your time and about an hour or so of wall time to start up a node and have it ready to stake. And so really not very bad. If you look at most blockchains, it takes much longer to sync the entire chain, and it takes a lot longer usually. Typically, it takes hours and hours to get up and running and staking. But I can tell you, the first time I set up a node on a new computer, I earned my first reward, within a few hours. So it really is super easy.
Wow. So say you make like a new Para wallet address. Is there like a minimum amount of algo you have to have in there to run the node?
Excellent question. So there is a minimum you have to run your own node at home, as I just showed there. That idea of like setting up a computer, installing the node, generating the key, and going online. That minimum is 30,000 algo, which is about, at today's exchange rate for algo versus the United States dollar, it's something around $12,000 or so worth of algo that you need to earn rewards. But we, of course, recognize that not everyone has 5 figures in dollars worth of cryptocurrency, of course. And to be very clear, people with small stake are very important to the future of this network and very important to the security of the network. And so we want everyone to have the opportunity to earn rewards here. So how do you do that? If you've got less than the 30,000 algo or the $12,000 or whatever it is, or $10,000, how do you bring that smaller stake online? So we have created at the Algorand Foundation, we commissioned some engineering work to make a pool. So we have these decentralized pools you can join, very similar to a liquidity pool on a DeFi venue. Right. You transfer your algo into the trustless pool, and then it'll stake on your behalf. And so if I have 1,000 algo, not 30,000, I can pool up with a whole bunch of other folks. And just to show people screen of my Mac here, let me go and I will try to live find this the Reti. We call it Reti pool, RETI for Algorand. So let me show you how you can send your smaller than 30,000 algo from 5 algo, 10 algo, all the way to like whatever 29,000 algo to a pool so you can stake. It's a Reti Algorand pool. Let's say, AJ, you don't have the 30,000 algo, but you still want to get involved. Let me show you how to join a pool. So if I go back to my Mac here, we bring up a browser. Our node is syncing still in the background. Happy days. I might use this in a little while. If we search for Reti Algorand pool and hit enter, here is a dashboard for Reti pooling on Nodely. And so what we're seeing here are all of the pools that are live right now on chain. And some of them are large, like you can see this top one from Kiln, which is a staking provider, a professional staking provider, has 121 million algo in it. So they obviously have more than 30,000 algo, but they have big customers who want to pool together. But there's many other pools, right? And if we keep going down this list, there, for example, this pool here, markcvl.algo, this is a pool run by our CMO, Mark. Let's go into that. And so you can see the breakdown on the pool. You can see that he's got 72,000 algo staked. So if you had, 5,000 algo, you could top it up here and he'd have 77,000 algo staked. He said he's happy to have 200 stakers in his pool. He's only got 9. There's plenty of room in this pool. And he has, let me see, a commission. So I should say, when you're running a node at home on your own, as I described earlier, there's no commission. Of course, you earn the full reward. When you are pooling, someone else is running the node for you. And so there's typically a charge to that. And you can see Mark has charged 5% of the reward, which is relatively small, of course. Yeah. So if you wanted to get involved with this pool, you would simply connect your wallet, select DeFi, Para, Kibisis, Exodus, or Loot, and then sign a transaction in order to fund the pool, and you'll start earning rewards as well. And like I said, you don't have to choose Mark's pools necessarily. You can filter by the fee. You can decide to go to a pool that's got a much smaller fee. For example, this pool here has a 1% fee. Let's go into that ancient pool, and it's got no stakers and a very small commission. So, there's lots of options out there.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of options for the people who don't have, 30,000 Algorand. And also, that you could also use things like Tiny Man, Folks Finance, stuff like that. But they're using a derivative where they have like their own token. You care to elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So what AJ is talking about there is like staking tokens. And this is the idea that you send your Algorand or, whatever crypto asset on whatever network into a DeFi venue, into a DeFi platform. They take ownership of your algo or your Cardano or your Solana or whatever, and they give you a kind of an IOU, that asset.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. They call it typically like D-algo, X-algo, something like that. It's some kind of like derivative abstraction. You can go and use that or not on the DeFi venue, and they will stake on your behalf. just to be clear, under the hood, whether it's the Reti thing we just looked at, where it's peer-to-peer pools, whether it's liquid staking, which I just described with Folks Finance, where they're running a centralized pool, or whether it's, as I just showed at the very beginning of the chat, running a node directly yourself at home using the terminal, using a copy of Mac or Linux or Windows. Somewhere, someone is running an Algorand node. And that's the most important thing. And so I like to do it myself at home. If you have over 30,000 algo, you can do that and you can get earn rewards. If not, feel free to choose one of those other options. But also, if anyone has any questions on this, I'm on Twitter at John Allen Woods, JohnAlanWoods. You can ping me. My DMs are open, and I will guide you as to what's appropriate. And you'll know that you're getting reasonably safe advice, of course, because I'm involved with the project.
That is very cool of you. And I think I want to start my own node, to be clear. I think that'd be really cool to do. And so I have this older laptop right here. So say I run that node, I have to leave it open all the time. I can't shut it once it's running.
Right. So this is important. So you can shut it, but what'll happen is you just won't earn rewards while it's closed, because it won't be doing the consensus thing. Also, I should say, it's not good for the network generally for nodes that say they're going to be there and running to not be there and running. And so the way the protocol handles this is that if it sees you online, saying you're supposed to be online, but actually not being there when the protocol comes knocking for you to propose a block or to vote, the protocol may choose to remove you from the staking set. So like kick you out of the club. Right. If that happens, you can join again, but you have to pay a small fee, a few algo to join again. Gotcha. So generally, it hasn't happened to me yet, despite the fact that I've missed a few rounds. But if you're running the node a little bit carelessly, maybe it's better to choose a pool or a liquid staking token, and let someone else worry about running that computer full time. But if you're someone who wants no fee, you don't want to pay the 5% or the 2% or the 1%, and you feel comfortable leaving a computer on full time, running cool. As I said, it doesn't computational resource. I think it's worth getting involved in running your own node. It helps secure the network.
And that's what that 10-year-old MacBook is for. If you have that one MacBook from high school or college sitting around, I have one. I for that I used to do music on, made my hip hop beats on there. I think that's the laptop I want to use to run my.
Totally.
Very cool. Totally. Well, John, you answered all the questions and more today. This is our longest interview yet, but I think it's probably our most valuable, because, I know a lot of people that once the command thing opens up on the computers, everyone goes, yeah, okay, I'm out of here. But I think that this is, a good way to work into that. There's certainly like a lot of lessons, because, a lot of people in crypto who are just traders kind of ignore the whole coding aspect of crypto, even though that's what built it. So I think that, certainly even from a developer standpoint, Algorand is an excellent window into that, like, developer education. And that's also something that you guys do passionately.
Right, totally. And look, we're here. We have DevRel. We have a dedicated node runners group on our Discord, which is a place you can come and chat, online chat platform. And we will help you get this up and running. And using NodeKit at nodekit.run, the website nodekit, nodekit.run, that software will make sure that the Algorand node is running correctly and help you set up the keys so that they are also running correctly. And so we've tried to make it as easy as possible. And one last thing to say is that, maybe if you're someone who's not that comfortable with computers and you're just kind of doing this for the first time, just remember that command line interface, that black box where you type in the words to do things, it's just a way to do the same things you do with the mouse and keyboard visually with words. You can make directories, make folders, open folders, delete folders, move pictures around, and run a node. And the reason we chose the terminal as the interface rather than, say, a traditional application like Microsoft Word or FaceTime or whatever, where it's more visual, is because we wanted people to understand that running a node was a responsibility. If you run a node improperly, then it's not good for the network, of the health of the network. And so we wanted to make sure that it was something that people took seriously. But we're there to help you. If you reach out to me on Twitter or the team on our Discord, we'll make sure you get set up.
Awesome. Well, John, man, thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. Everybody out there, make sure you give John a follow and give Algorand Foundation a follow on Twitter. Both the links down below in the description. Any final thoughts before we close out today, man? Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, listen, it's my absolute pleasure, buddy. And it's always great to hang out with you. I'm very excited for Algorand 2025. I think we got some very, very exciting stuff in the roadmap. And like I mentioned, we've just reduced the foundation stake today. So the rewards have never been greater than they currently are. So get involved. We think you'll find it fun and rewarding. Literally.
Everybody, thank you so much for being here, John. Everybody, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, join the Algo fam today. The door is wide open. We're happy to have you. Have a safe rest of your day. Get rich or get wrecked. Later.